Welcome to the Meeting Underground. We thank you for joining us. Today we're going to have a discussion on the subject of the struggle of art, the struggle of the artist. And I've asked Tony Raney to hold over and join us for a second episode. And so today that's our subject, that's what we're doing, and we appreciate you being here. So, what motivates you as an artist? Maybe we talked a little bit about it last time. Mm-hmm. What is the things that motivate you about art and as an artist?
Yeah, man, it's a big question. I guess, honestly, it really is just release. It's finding a way to understand myself, and maybe that's a selfish answer, but it has less to do with, anymore about trying to find a way to make $1 million record or, have 1,000 fans or whatever. There's the inherent part of it where you have to have the social media presence and, and
with all of the things that go with it.
Yeah, and network and all of that. But I mean, to me, it's just about being my voice and allowing myself to let that voice out versus just keeping it inside and not, I think there's such maybe not as much today, but in the past, a stigma of being vulnerable with emotion and being vulnerable with especially your own emotion.
Right.
And, to me, that is a stigma I've tried to break.
So you really feel the need for expressing the things, your perspective, your viewpoint, your experiences of life.
Yeah.
Those are because we kind of said that last time when we were talking last week.
Yeah, I think that's paramount. I think that's paramount to me as a person and, and to a lot of people who maybe aren't able to do that in the way that they'd like to. And music, is, luckily enough, there are people that are able to do that so that they can tap into them.
Right.
And are able to kind of get a piece of that out themselves.
Right. So, there's a difference between being like a voice. This is something to me that's been important. Mm-hmm. Is distinguishing between being an actual voice for what I'm doing and what I believe, where my heart is on what I do, and being just an echo or a repeat, because it's so easy to just begin emulating someone else.
Sure,
and
sure.
Especially in the early times. So you came into East Nashville. Tell me your views a little bit about the difficulty for the individual artist or the new band in town in the culture of East Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, it's one that I was prepared for because I'd lived here before, and also...
And this doesn't have to be just you, just it's about maybe advice to someone coming...
I can give you that, too,
right.
As I gave it to a good friend of mine, Dakota Kyle, who's heads a band called Flirty Slim that I was a part of for a little while. We both moved here from Southwest Florida, and in Southwest Florida, there is a good music scene, a supportive music scene, but not a very large one. And it's really easy to network, play out, and reach a pretty
decent
manageable peak. Yeah. And feel like you are accomplishing things.
And
when
connecting somehow.
Sure. And, to a degree you are, but to the bigger extent, you are... you're in a small pond, and it's tough to get out of that pond if you become comfortable in it. And I, told him, the same thing I would tell myself, which is, be prepared to work way harder and be far more disappointed. Mm-hmm. Because not only are you moving to a place that's known and called Music City, you're moving to a place where all of these artists you have to acknowledge that they are hungrier than you, and they are working as hard, if not harder, than you, and they are judging you, and they are gleaning from you, and
the thing about East Nashville, well, I've made a distinguishing. I made a difference, a distinction between Nashville and East Nashville.
Sure.
Because this is basically one of the reasons we started the Meeting Underground is that East Nashville is like Greenwich Village in the late '60s.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the artists are. Those. It's nothing really to do with what most people think of Nashville music.
Sure.
Because they think of the Nashville TV show, and they think
Right.
of CMA awards, and they think of big budget, high impact music. But East Nashville is just crawling with incredibly talented people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that's a great thing, but it's also a challenging thing because. Like we were in the restaurant talking about the show coming around. It's hard. It's hard to make an impact in this kind of place because in the restaurant where I could turn and spit and hit 10 bands. Because I'm sure in that little restaurant there were 10 bands or artists sitting in there.
Yeah.
That's how it is here, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But it's just challenge. It's a challenge to you to not get discouraged.
Yeah.
Because, and that kind of stuff.
It's challenging, but it's also has its own reward in that if there are this many other people working and trying, you are a part of that as well. And that is in itself uplifting,
And there's a community of support among all of these struggling artists.
Sure, yeah.
At least somewhat of one.
Yeah.
There's so many of them, but there tends to be people who tend to want to help each other.
Well, and I would say too, as you win them over, with your effort and with your craft,
right?
That's a huge reward.
Yeah.
Because there is no, to me, like there is no higher praise than someone you respect.
Yes.
Praising you and respecting you in the same way you respect them. And there are a lot of musicians and a lot of people in this, just in this pocket that we live in that I have those thoughts about. So,
moving into maybe more a larger historical or philosophical perspective, the artist in history always has, at least the part to me that seems the real important value of it all, is the artist seems to be the outsider a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Being the outsider who says things that other people are ignoring.
Sure.
That sort of thing. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts about that, the role of an art. I said to you, I believe that being an artist is a high calling and it's a hard road. It's very...
Nailed it.
It's a calling, it's a place of great significance and value in culture, in society, and in history. And oftentimes the artist or the poet is the one standing back and pointing out the obvious where people are ignoring it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give me some of your thoughts about, because we're talking about the struggle of the artist.
Sure.
A lot of times the artist is an outsider or is not part of the gang in the sense of perspective and some of that.
Yeah.
Tell me if you got any thoughts.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of those, and one of them is like the politically minded artist who, is able to really tap into the current day events, and talk about how they are affecting society and how they are affecting,
injustice.
And that is not me.
Yeah.
I have tried to sit down and write a song like that. It feels very contrived to me. It's just not where I come from. Emotionally, and then I think there's also the artist who talks about emotion.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm not pigeonholing anything.
Sure.
Just that the idea of the artist a lot of times the serious role of an artist is kind of addressing the heart of people that are maybe not paying attention.
Yeah, you've got to have.
And sometimes that's with a heartfelt, tear-jerking story that's real.
You gotta have it, man. Like, you've got to have a song that makes you think about the girl you lost, your dad dying,
Yeah.
And you've got to have a song that makes you think about the injustice of, like, children being killed and bombed, and you've got to have artists that are able to do that. And I think that it's an amazing craft, to be able to pin those down and to express them. Like, I find it beautiful.
Given the fact that the majority of what do you consider as success as an artist? Given the fact that the majority, in the eye and the mind of current trends and things or ideas of what success is, beyond fame, beyond those kind of things, beyond what do you think success is as an artist? Is that a good question?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's
because it really has to be down to something simple.
It is feeling accomplished at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be anything more than that.
Right.
Because if you have anything more than that, like, in your line of sight, like, I think for me anyway, I'm now distracted from what is the most important thing, which is tapping into the emotion. And that's what it's all about to me. It's like it's hitting that vein of, you know, me curled up, bawling in the corner, to me punching a hole in a door, to me like yelling at the sky, to me angrily writing a letter, to me staring, you know, at the wall. I want to find my way back to that, channel it through this and through this, put it into you, and have you now go, when was that moment that I did that? And have you stop and think. Like, I don't even care if you're now even listening to the song. It's no longer about the song. It's about getting you to tap back into something you didn't deal with.
Right. Because
that's so much of what, you know, the music was to me. It is to me. You know, like, that's what it was even when I didn't know I was writing it. You know, I mean, I've got a place in my life in this moment that has a song, or has an album that I wrote 4 years ago that never got released, that as I sat back and listened to all 9 of those songs again, I literally went, this is where I'm at right now. And
is this the album?
This is not Alone and Cold. This is an album called The Periphery of Love. And it hasn't been...
it's not released.
It's not released.
Not available.
It's not available. It is one that will, you know, potentially be one day. It's a very emotional album to me, and it's a hard one to kind of let out of the box.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions going backwards, but I'm going to restrain from that.
Sure.
You have an upcoming release.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's an album called Alone and Cold. I recorded it about 2 years ago, I think. It was a solo project under Tony Raney that I did before I moved back to Nashville. And Zach Gresham of Mute Group came down. We recorded a live video of all of it, and then also live audio of all of it. So there will be I think it's a 9 or 10 song album of the audio that'll release, plus it's kind of a movie that we made of all of the live performances.
Are they going to be separate, or are they going to be put together in a package?
It'll be put together in a package.
So it's going to be a physical package, and all of it still will be downloadable?
It'll all be downloadable, yeah. So it'll be eventually, you know, when it releases in November is our shooting date.
That's what
our shooting month to get it out. Yeah, you'll be able to get it off of iTunes, Spotify, like all of your streaming services, yeah. Under Tony Raney? Under Tony Raney, yeah.
You're going to have to look for that. November, Tony Raney, Alone and Cold.
Yeah.
We're going to have Tony, we're going to see a video from the release Alone and Cold. Tell me a little bit about the song that we're going to feature after this.
Yeah, so the song's called 10 Man. It is...
Great song.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. Again, it's a really, you know, it's a song about a hollow orifice, you know, about your heart being gone, and you are now just, you know, you're the 10 Man, yeah, and
great.
You know, you spend your life like searching to get that back, and that's the hardest thing, is to love and lose and love again. You know?
Keep getting up after getting knocked down.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
that's the struggle of the artist is the same struggle as the lover.
I've been told I'm an optimist. I don't know if I'm an optimist or just extremely stubborn. You know,
that's, you have to be, or life will beat you.
Yeah, man.
You know, we don't want that. Yeah, Tony, you're a great guy.
Yeah, thank
really,
you.
really appreciate you
Thank
being
you for
here.
having me. Yeah.
Maybe when his CD, when his project comes out, we might have him back and he can feature it. And,
Love to.
we're gonna go to the video. You want to introduce the video, and then we appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining us in the Meeting Underground. If you're watching the video, the vidcast of it, you can look and see the link to the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, look and see the link to the vidcast. Your video, audio, we appreciate any way you listen to us. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe on YouTube for it. We appreciate that. We really could use it. Besides that, I want to let Tony introduce the video.
Yeah, this is Tin Man off the upcoming album, Alone and Cold.
In the cage where my heart it used to rest before you tore it apart. I abstained from the light of the soul. It's the shadows I love. I let the night lights jumpstart. And you, well, you tore me apart. Let me scattered about like all the toys that you find. And I don't wind up so easily. Ever since my strength got so stretched out. Like the cold creeping in through the cracks, I feel you brush. You're cool against my back. I retreat to the hole that I know, where I'm safe from the cold. Tore me apart, let me scattered about like all the toys that you found. And I don't wind up so easily. Ever since my springs got so stretched out.